Trail securement. A little different focus today with regards to securing property. Now, the previous land securement tutorials I have posted thus far are still very applicable to trail securement, but we're going to take a look at the goal of connecting a point A to point B system. Because that's what trails generally are. They could be looped, but we're going to focus today on a point A to point B linear system. It doesn't have to be straight, it can be sinuous, but that trail system is very crucial to get, and thus you have to have every single landowner who's a key component in this whole plan of yours to be on board with what you're doing. So how does that happen? If you've got hundreds of kilometers or hundreds of miles to secure, that can be hugely challenging and seemingly unrealistic to secure that. Now, keep in mind that this is a long-term vision. If you are, in fact, one of those organizations that have hundreds of kilometers or miles to secure of trail, that is going to outlast your involvement, your lifetime most likely, just because this is so long-term that you have to be considering that you're not going to get every piece within your lifetime. You're going to have to set it all up so that subsequent people who are going to take over your role will be able to finish the job that you started. So, that being said, we need to think about this as a numbers game. If you've got hundreds of landowners to deal with, some are going to love you and some are going to hate you. That's just the reality. Those that love you could donate their lands to you, and those that hate you just don't want anything to do with you, and they will talk negatively about your group. Not that you've done anything wrong, but in the minds of certain people, they just don't want to deal with you. So how do you deal with those people? Because I don't think I need to tell you how to deal with the positive people. I've done that in previous videos, and that's pretty obvious. But the hostile ones, they're the challenging ones, and because you need them, or at least you need their lands to connect your optimum route, you need to stay connected somehow. So there's two ways to deal with hostile landowners. One, you can just wait them out. Eventually they will either pass on and you'll be dealing with someone who's a lot more reasonable, hopefully, than that person, or they will sell their land to someone else who, again, is hopefully more reasonable than they were. Now, you're always taking the chance that someone else might not be any more reasonable, but if they're hostile, let's assume that they likely will be divesting their land to someone more reasonable than them. So that's a positive thing. Now, the other thing that you could do that's a little bit more active on your behalf is you could give them little notices from time to time, maybe every year or every couple of years, just to remind them that you're there, and it's a gentle thing. You're not asking anything of them. You are just letting them know, hello neighbor, we're still interested in having discussions when you're ready, that kind of thing. You don't want to be in their face because they've already expressed they're not interested in you, but you never know what will happen in their mind later in the future. Someone who's hostile to you now may seek you out later if they're desperate enough. So you never know, in someone's life something happens and they'll need to sell their land, and if you've already expressed interest and you've done it more than once, they could come to you first before they list the property, or even if they list it, they might tell their agent, yeah, we've had expressions from this organization. The agent may do the negotiating on their behalf. So if it's an expression of interest that you've had and you keep repeating, you're more likely to at least get the land. So, now that we've dealt with hostile landowners in those ways, how do you effectively deal with those people who aren't necessarily hostile and aren't necessarily advocates of what you're doing? They are just landowners that are in the way. They are owning land along your optimum route. Well, you still need to deal with them even though they're not ready yet. And one very effective way to dealing with those landowners is to ask them if they would be considering a handshake agreement. Now, a handshake agreement is simply a loose agreement, not written down. It's allowing you to put a trail through their property that you promise to maintain, keep clean, keep people on a path. You will likely have named the landowner as an additional insured under your group's policy, just to make sure there's no reason for them to really say no to you. You're making it easier for them to say, okay, we'll try it out and see how it works. This is an opportunity for you to be able to secure the land in the future from them. Even though this in itself isn't a land securement tool, it is very helpful in the first cog of a wheel that will eventually hopefully turn to a land securement acquisition for you and your organization. Because if they're happy with you, they're going to think of you when they are ready to divest, and they may speed up that process a little bit. Your landowner relations people, maybe you have one person, maybe it's a volunteer, whoever these people are, they're going to hopefully be always keeping the landowners abreast of everything, checking in with them to make sure everything's going well, they're happy with the relationship, and once in a while suggest that, you know, when you're ready, landowner, we have someone who can talk to you regarding options. You don't have to do anything, you can just hear them out with regards to options for your land or part of your land. Now, one of the previous land securement webinar or tutorial videos that I've posted, I should say, focus on partial takings. What I've noticed in the past is that partial takings of land are very, very helpful for trail securement. It's easier for someone to divest of a part of their land, and in some cases even a sliver of their land, than it is to consider all of their land. So those options are always available to landowners, and you have to make them available and make them aware of that. And obviously do it in a way that is tempering the landowner's character. Eventually, over time, you will fill in all these gaps, and you will, in the interim, be skirting around those lands that you don't have yet, but eventually you will get them. Stay positive, stay focused, stay on track, and you will ultimately get from point A to point B on your optimum route. So hopefully that has been very helpful. I've been doing this for so many years that I enjoy being able to give this back now. If you have any questions, any comments, please feel free to contact us. You can go through our website, get our contact information. Me or any of my staff will be helpful. I promise you that. So I am signing off, and happy trails to you. On the next video, we will have yet another land securement tip that should help your group. Thank you.